If you have an elderly family member or friend, or even an elderly neighbor who doesn't reliably have someone checking on them every day to ensure all is well, then a new service being offered by Brazos County may be just the thing to look into. Welcome to Brazos Matters. I'm Jay Sokol. I have two guests today who will tell us more about a wellness check program that is new to Brazos County. It's called Are You OK? And here from Brazos County is Precinct 3 County Commissioner Nancy Berry and Are You OK Volunteer Coordinator Valdie Masco. So welcome to Brazos Matters, Commissioner Berry and Valdie.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
So Valdie, you and I have not met before today. Tell me a little bit about where you're from and where your career has taken you.
Okay, I'm a hometown girl. I'm from Bryan, Texas. I graduated from Bryan High School. After I graduated from Bryan High School, I went to Sam Houston State University and graduated there with a bachelor in criminal justice. And after I graduated, I started working for the Department of Justice for the Federal Bureau of Prisons right here in Bryan, Texas. It's the Women Federal Prison Camp. I stayed there approximately about 28 years, and I retired April the 30th of 2023. And I knew I wanted to keep giving to the community. So I went on the Brazos County website and I saw this position that says volunteer coordinator. I'm like, that's for me. And so I submitted my resume and application. A couple of months later, I got a phone call and said, are you still interested in the position? I said, sure. I went in for my interview. I'm like, this is for me. So the Are You OK program, because I love giving back to the citizens. And I want always people to remain hopeful every day. I want them to wake up hopeful. So with the program, that's what we're there for, to check on their wellness. And if we might have to send the deputy out to check on them, that's what we're going to do, because Brazos County, we love our seniors.
Well, let me stop real quickly. And you mentioned the Women's Federal Prison Camp.
Yes.
And I think there are a fair number of people in this community, even those who've lived here for a long time, who may not even know we have a facility like that. So can you describe real quickly what that facility is and what your role was there?
So it's a minimal facility for women only. It's there to help them we want them to readjust back into society. My role, when I retired, I was a unit manager. And with that being said, I was responsible for ensuring that the ladies get released. The classes, we recommend classes that they take and participate in. So once they get out, they'll have a better position of getting a job, employment.
What kind of classes are we talking about?
From anywhere from parenting classes, from just different, we had a GED program there also that they can participate in, and just different classes so they can
kind of life skills type classes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Financial literacy?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Commissioner Berry, when did you first become aware of a program that was at least similar to Are You OK? And why did you think it'd be a good fit here?
Well, I read about a program in California in the newspaper called County News, and it's published by the National Association of Counties every 2 weeks. And there was an article about a program in California that was called Elder Orphans, which I think is a bad name. But a man had just lost his wife, and he read in the paper that someone had died and was found in his house a couple of weeks later. And he said, that could be me. He called the sheriff's office and said, could you check on me? I don't have anybody that checks on me. So they started a program called Elder Orphans that calls them to check on them, ask them if they're okay. And I was immediately interested in that, because I know we have elders here that live alone and probably don't have people to check on them. So I called the person that they referenced in the article and got some information, and that they used a particular software to do these call-outs. So I contact Patrick Corley, our head of 911 here, and he said the software is housed in the Emergency Operations Center. So I called Michelle Mead, who runs that, And she said, we don't have that capacity in our software. And we had just renewed our software for 3 years.
Okay.
So last September, it was up for renewal. And so we got the call out feature purchased with our software. So we were able to do it. And so I'm excited about it.
Did you have to fight for a little extra funding to make that happen?
No, we have the ARPA funds, the American Rescue Plan funds, that we're using for Valdie's salary and telephones and desks to set it up. And after the ARPA money runs out at the end of 26, then the county will fund it.
Okay.
And it's through the sheriff's office.
Okay. So if I'm a resident, this is for either one of you or both of you, if I'm a resident, elderly or otherwise, I suppose, who really needs that daily, reliable wellness check, how will I sign up for this?
Well, we have applications that are going to be available in lots of locations, but you can call 979-775 Are You Okay?
Okay.
And you'll get Valdie, and you can either mail in an application but you have to sign it because we have to have permission to do the wellness check.
Okay. So aside from basic information that anyone would expect to provide, what are some additional pieces of information that could be helpful to you, Valdie, or anyone else with the Brazos County Sheriff's Office who might have to physically go check on someone who doesn't answer that phone call? Is there some kind of medical history that needs to be shared, or do you have a pet who lives with you, that sort of thing?
Yes. Part of the application is, do you have an extra key? Where do you keep it? Who do you want us to contact? Do you have a pet? Do you have a car? What make and model is it? What kind of pet do you have? Do you have 2 cats? Do you have 1 dog? Whatever you have, so that when the officer goes there, the sheriff deputy goes to check, they know what to expect. And so let's say I successfully sign up for this. And by the way, my understanding, Valdie and I had a brief discussion before we got started, and she said it is almost ready to roll out. Things aren't quite online yet, but they should be any time now. And we'll tell people how to go find that. But let's say that I successfully sign up for Are You Okay? Valdie, walk me through the steps, the next steps of what I should expect.
So once we receive your application, we will start calling you on your prearranged day and time, which could be up to 3 times per week. And we'll call you and we'll say, are you okay? If you answer, we'll ask, are you okay? If you say yes, if you don't have any other questions, we'll just hang up and we'll go on to the next person. But also, if you do not answer, we're going to make numerous attempts to keep calling you. And then if we cannot get you, then we'll assess the situation. Then if we need to, we'll send out a deputy or EMS, whoever we may need to send out to check on you. So with this, you might have a doctor's appointment. So there's set where you can call in the ROUK phone number and say, I got a doctor's appointment on Wednesday at 9 a.m., so I will not be home at that time to receive your phone call. That way we know we don't have to dispatch a deputy out to your residence. So be expecting calls maybe up to 3 times per week. We're here. Any questions? I also have a resource list. If you say I might need some meals, so I'm going to have a resource list where my volunteers can give out phone numbers.
Okay.
Also, and my volunteers will go through the training so that we are always empathetic towards the person that's always on the other line.
Right. And so, making sure I heard this right, it's a maximum of 3 times a week.
Up to 3 times.
Up to 3 times a week. Okay. And you get to determine which days and which times.
So we're going to kind of leave that up to the residents.
Okay.
Whatever's convenient for them. And on the application, it asks what time on the AM you would like to be contacted. So that's what we would go by. It's not set in stone, so if you want to change the date, the time, that's feasible.
So, and to be clear, this up to 3 times a week, it's an automated wellness check that's through the phone. It's not a person who is available for a conversation, right?
It's the volunteers, and it can be automated. It just depends on how many people we have that's participating in the program. So my volunteers will be calling one-on-one to make it personal.
Okay.
Because we want it personal, to give it that human interaction, because
Okay.
some people need that human interaction.
Because some versions of this program, I think, are strictly automated, if I'm right.
Well, Belton does this, and they have automated calls where they call you and say, "This is the sheriff's office," and if you're okay, press 1. If you need assistance, press 2. And if you don't answer, they'll call you back 3 times in a half hour. And if you still don't respond, they send out an officer. So I think once we get up and running, we will probably do that.
I see. Okay. And Valdie, you mentioned a moment ago about volunteers. I'm guessing you can't do all of this by yourself. So what kinds of resources do you need to really build out this program?
So I need volunteers to get the words out. And I've been networking with other organizations. So if you'd like for me to come speak at your organization more about the Are You OK program, just give me a call at 77979.
775, are you okay?
Yeah, 979-775, Are You Okay?
And I'd be more than happy to come out to discuss the program in a little bit more in depth.
Yeah, that for the numbers, that's 775-7864, but that is, are you okay?
Okay. Is there a certain kind of person or personality who you think would be most ideal for this?
I just want somebody that's empathetic and just have compassion.
Right.
And that's what I'm looking for.
Okay. So if you just tuned in, I'm Jay Sokol. You're listening to Brazos Matters, and my guests are Precinct 3 Brazos County Commissioner Nancy Berry and Are You OK Volunteer Coordinator Valdie Masco. So in terms of getting signups for your first year of this service, do you have any sort of projections or expectations? Because I'm guessing you've looked at some other communities that have launched a program like this and have some idea based on that.
Well, my personal guess, and that's all it is a guess, is that I think there's probably a couple of hundred people in Brazos County that live alone that are seniors that could possibly, sign up for the program. But getting the word out to those people and getting them to sign up is not a given.
Right. So I glanced at some census data for Brazos County. It showed for the county we had, and you would know this better than I would, Commissioner Berry, that we have about 242,000 residents, roughly. Mm-hmm. We have a median age of about 26 and a half years of age because we have so many young people here. And just over 10% of us are 65 and older, so 25,000 people. But you think a couple hundred is maybe the sweet spot?
That's my guess, and that's all it is. It's a guess. Because you have those 8,000 people that are over 65, mm-hmm. and many of them are with family or spouses and stuff. And you have to live in the county. This is not a program for the cities. Okay, so this is not for Bryan or College Station.
It's for people out in the county.
Yes, you have to live in the county.
Okay.
It's not in the cities. So we're talking about a smaller population.
I'm glad you mentioned that because I was under the impression it was the entire Brazos County population. It's out in the county.
Yes.
Okay.
Where the sheriff is your law enforcement.
Got it. So you really aren't talking about folks who may be more geographically isolated and away geographically from family and so forth, and not in a more urban setting. Huh. Okay. Have you spoken with any of your counterparts, whether they're in other counties and so forth, who have done something like this?
Yes. I went to Belton twice. As I said, they have a program that runs through their police department, and they've been very helpful to us. Valdie's gone up. Lieutenant Garrett House and Chief Deputy Paul Martinez have gone up. So we've watched them, and they've been very helpful because they've been running their program about 10 years.
Valdie, what kind of research have you had to do to prepare for this?
So I actually went and prepared by, looking at what's the needs of the elderly population, what resources we have here in Bryan College Station. So I just did a lot of research so that way when when we call and check on them, I want to have an answer. I just don't want to say I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be able to have an answer. If they need help with their prescriptions, so I'm following that up and see what could be done if they need resources for prescriptions, for medication, anything like that. So I've done a lot of research just trying to follow up so I will have an answer for our residents.
Sure. And my wife and I have had experience in the last few years becoming caregivers for elderly parents. And so we've had to do a lot of things we didn't expect to do through power of attorney and medical power of attorney and so forth. And of course, our parents weren't necessarily as adept with technology as we are. And so are there any requirements for a caregiver of an elderly client who may be wanting to do this? In other words, can somebody's child or grandchild sort of help with the specifics related to this?
They can to a point, but we need the individual who we're checking on to sign, because should the deputy go and they see somebody lying on the living room floor, they need to be able to get in. So we need to have their permission to do that welfare check.
Okay.
So, but if you have an elderly aunt or a parent or cousin or friend that lives alone and you want to sign them up, call Valdie at the 775 Are You OK number, and she'll get an application out, and then that person can help the other person fill it out and sign it.
And making sure I understood, when you physically sign this form, do you have to mail it back? Can you upload it to the website? What is that process?
Yes, you can mail it back or you can upload it to the website. And if you cannot do it, either one, I might be able to go out there and pick it up myself.
Okay.
So that is another option possible.
Okay. Yeah, that would probably be helpful to some folks who just, again, they don't have the resources to do it any other way. So that's a nice service you're willing to provide. Is this essentially a kind of a plug and play kind of program that works the same in every community that does it, or is there something special or different we've had to do?
Well, I think every community is different, and how they set it up is different. But the basics of the program are the same. We're checking on seniors who live alone and reaching out to them. And we think, it'll also cut down on elder abuse and some of these scams that seniors fall prey to.
Right. And you feel like you have a good idea of where if you're not proactively contacted by some of these seniors or their family members, do you have an idea who they are and where they are, and you would proactively go out to them? Or does that fall outside the lines of this?
Well, I mean, we're not going to knock on doors and ask them if they'd like to participate. But, through Meals on Wheels and the senior programs and rural churches, Valdie's contacting those individuals and leaving applications with them so that we can cast as wide a net as possible to get these people to sign up and participate. That's
a great idea. It seems like those organizations and the churches would be a great resource to figure out who's out there and who's in need. Yeah. And again, we talked a little bit earlier about the costs that are covered through some federal dollars initially, but then that cost was shift over to the county, and the county commissioners have decided that's something you're willing to do.
Yes.
Okay.
Very enthusiastically, yes.
Is there a certain number of years that you commit to, or is this year by year?
Well, the ARPA funds run out the end of 26.
Mm-hmm.
So the budget year 26, 27, we would allocate funds for it, and then going forward from there.
Is this an extension of some of the services for our senior community that the county already provides, or do you think this kind of sets the foundation for doing even more for our seniors?
I really can't answer that, because I don't know what the Commissioners Court's going to go for in the future, or what other services might become apparent through this, but I think we're always going to be open to helping our seniors.
Yeah. Yeah. You, with a number of years' experience as mayor of the city of College Station and now as one of the Brazos County Commissioners, I would imagine you have a much more holistic viewpoint of the kinds of needs and your own family experiences as a caregiver for family members, an idea of what the needs are, the services needs are for our seniors.
Yes, and the transit district is also involved in, para services for handicapped and disabled people for transportation, and I think we'll probably get a number of those as well. People that are in a wheelchair or walkers or what have you that might need assistance.
Yeah. Valdie, you talked about getting some volunteers to help you provide the Are You OK service. What kind of training will they undergo to be ready to help you out?
Basically, it's just the basic training, how, proper etiquette for phone calls. In case we encounter someone that has mental health issues, the proper procedure, how to handle that call also. Just the basic being professional and just training about the calls that we may encounter that we are not equipped because we're not law enforcement officers ourselves to transfer it to somebody that can be able to handle that type of phone call also.
And some of those extra pieces of information that a client would need to provide in order to help a responder from the sheriff's office. If there is some reluctance from seniors to provide that, maybe feeling like, oh, I don't want to disclose that sort of thing, how do you talk them into being comfortable sharing that sort of information?
So they just start just trying to gain their trust, and just by talking to them, just working on gaining their trust, and like, we really do care. We are sincere about the program, and we really do care about your welfare. So that's what we would talk about. Just being empathetic and just showing that we care. And I think that'll go a long ways. Just keep, because we don't want anything in return. We don't want anything in return. We just care about our seniors.
Yeah, we're not getting confidential information. We're not asking for social security numbers. We're just asking for their name and address and contact information, and do they have pets? Are they able to walk? Do they have physical impairments? Do they have a life alert? And if they have a life alert, what company do you have it with? And do they have a vehicle, and make and model? And would they like to be notified if there's severe weather? That's coming. So if are they stuck at home and there's a storm coming? And if they need to seek shelter, do we need to go out and get them?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No, that's a great idea.
So those are the basic questions on the application. So, the sheriff's office never going to ask for a credit card or checking account number or social security. And anybody who asks for those things, you need not to give that out, because that's a scam for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
What kinds of conversations have you had with maybe the senior population, whether it's your own friends and family or just others you've come in contact with, and you've kind of told them about what's coming?
There's been genuinely positive response everywhere in describing the program. They say that's great. A number of people said they'd like to sign up. So we've gotten a very positive response.
Are you aware of any stories from Brazos County where things have not gone well and it just sort of reinforces the idea that we absolutely need this? Are you aware of real stories?
Yes. Chief Deputy Martinez, when I told him about the program, he said, since we've been talking about the program, there were 2 incidents, one where they saved somebody and one where they were not able to, that they died at home and alone.
So
and was found several days later.
So these things really happen.
Yeah, they do.
They really happen here. Okay, so let's go over it again. The Are You OK program, which is set to launch very soon. Valdie, tell us again the basics of how this thing works. How will Are You OK work, and what services can a resident out in the county, not in the city limits of Bryant or College Station, what can they expect?
They can expect a phone call up to 3 times per week from a volunteer or myself, and we'll do a welfare check. And if we call and ask, "Are you okay?" If you say yes, if you don't have any other questions, that would be the end of our conversation until the next time we call. But if we call and we ask, "Are you okay?" and you say you have something going on, we're going to assess the nature of the call. And if we will send a deputy or the EMS out to your residence. If we call again and you do not answer, and we might try to call up to 8 times before we send a deputy out. But before that, we're going to call the next contact information that you have on your application to see have they heard from that person. And if not, then we will send a deputy out to go check and see what's going on at the residence. My volunteers and myself are happy to be providing this service. I also have an email address that you can email if you have any questions. It's RUOK, it's one word, all capitalized, at brazoscountytexas.gov also. Or you can call 979-775-7865. Are you okay? So that's the program.
Yeah. The Brazos County, Texas, Texas is TX, so it's brazoscountytx.gov. And it's RUOK at brazoscountytx.gov.
Yes, that's
and then,
correct.
Valdie, you and I were talking earlier that there are actually a couple of different ways to access Brazos County Sheriff's information, and another website may also have a link to this program as well, the brazoscountysheriff.org.
Right. Yes, we are in the process of getting that loaded onto the brazoscountysheriff.org website, where you'll be able to go into quick links and download the application, and that way you can email it back to me, or you can mail it in, or if it's not feasible, I can come out there and pick it up.
Perfect. Nancy Berry, Valdie Masco, thank you so much for the talk. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you very much.
Brazos Matters is a production of Aggieland's Public Radio, 90.9 KAMU FM, a member of Texas A&M University's Division of Marketing and Communications. Our show is engineered and edited by Program Director Matt Dittman. You can learn more about us at kamu.tamu.edu/radio. You can access all the archives of Brazos Matters at our website, kamu.tamu.edu/radio. I'm Jay Sokol. Thanks for listening.